So today is May 6, 2021. My name is Ann Shi. I'm the Associate Curator at the Houston Asian American Archive at Rice University. Today, we're so honored to be interviewing Stella Zhang for her oral history interview and her artistic creative process. Thank you, Stella, for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
To start, as we are starting from the very beginning, can you tell us when and where were you born?
Yes, I was born in 1965 in Beijing, China.
Can you share with us some of the memories about the neighborhood during your childhood, and can you tell us a little bit about your parents as well?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, in Beijing we moved many times, but in my childhood I have lots of memory about the old neighborhood. So I remember we live in the special Beijing style. They call it 四合院. So that means the house around the central courtyard. And so couple family, we share one, it's like apartment, but it's a different base non-apartment. And Beijing's weather is a summer is very hot and winter is very cold. So I remember it's a summertime. I wear it's I like is go to the yard to do my homework, so I can see the neighbor and go through there, then talking. Sometimes I can smell the cooking, and even neighbor they have a young girl is like my age. Every day she play violin, and then nighttime and parents will sit down in the outside too because inside the house is very hot. So they hold the fans, then talk to each other. And some people is playing the Chinese chess in the under the lights. And the winter time, and I always remember, it's Beijing have a special tree. So when winter the leaf is gone and the beard tree branch, then with crow, flying crow in the sky, and the roof is gray, dark gray. That's beautiful. For my memory, it's kind of like a palm, it's like a big picture, always in my mind. So even I left China 30 years ago. Then every time when I come back, I always thinking about how I should look like my childhood neighborhood. But one time I went back, so everything is gone. So now it's everything like the place is replaced by new building. It's tall, and I feel sad. That's kind of very important memory for me. But yeah, that's the old is a living environmental. But for my family, like my father, he was passed away 5 years ago. But he when he alive, he whole life he's an artist in China, is a Chinese brush painter artist. And he's my first teacher to teach me to do art. Then like Chinese traditional Chinese traditional family, so he always thinking kids do art is the best way because he was enjoy it so much. When I was very young, he started to training me. So that kind of training is sometimes its own kids is not easy be teach. Even I'm a very good girl, it's very nice to talk to her, but sometimes it's be own father, you teach kids, you always try to argue a little bit. But I remember beginning time, I was very shy, so I don't want to go out to make sketch. So people look at me how to drawing, judge me. Then he just thought, okay, I take you go together. So we have close by there have a park. So a couple times, beginning time, he with me together, hold the sketchbook to drawing about it's how people is arrived. People is, sometimes they do something or the building and the tree landscape. Then little by little I get used to. But most time he just let me sit down next to him and watching him how to do. So that can influence me a lot. It's not only about art and also about how he volume about many things. And I watching his habit, even how he using the water and keep the water always clean. I was wondering, how can you make his brush painting the water always clean? He told me, you just know how to control the ink, how to control the water, then you don't mess up. But his life habit is very organized. Even that time, we even it's a famous artist. They don't have big studio, so they drawing in a paint in the home. I watch his room, always very organized. It's not like a fancy, but he knows everything where he put in. He told me in the future, if you do art, you're not gonna mess. You know what you do. You keep your mind clean. So they influence my habit. Even now, I try to make my studio always organized too. Even I working time, I can make the mess, but right away I can have to clean up. Otherwise, I feel something wrong. So that's very, they by many different way to teach you, which without you talk too much, you just watch. And my mom is she's a very strong woman. She's smart and very able. But I saw her is a kind of like gave up her career. She until she retired, she is literature teacher in different college, but she cannot give up her career for support everyone in the family. I have an older brother, is 3 years older than me, and my younger sister is 7 years older, younger than me. So my brother, he's very smart. When he's young, he does art is, is better than everyone in my family, the kids. But he is very against my father teaching the way. He doesn't want to do art anymore. Then he went to, at the end, he went to Beijing University for physically. So I with my sister, it's just like a same way be training to do art. But my mom is support everyone. Then, but it's in China. I grew up in the generation we don't have everything you need. So be a mom, she have to be working hard, and I saw her keep busy forever. She tried to do this for this one, that one. Then the end, she's exhausted. She have no time to do anything for herself. But kind of like a role model for me to watching, be a woman in that kind of culture. So how you have to do something really, if you want to support everyone and do something good for yourself, you have to have a strong heart and a smart way to support everyone. So that's I learned from my parents.
That's really inspiring. And will you say that your father is the reason that you are an artist today?
I think that's a big reason. That's first reason why I come to know art. But soon he found by himself to teach me, maybe it's not best way. So in Beijing, they have a 少年宫. It's called is in a special place, like a group children, like a similar age. You learn art together. But for my goal, even very young, I know my goal want to go to Central Academy of Kava. That's where my dad teach. That's the best school in art school in China. But when you want to go to China, then you have to, when you go to Kava, you have to be training very straight way because the competition is really big. So, but we decide, I told my father before go there, maybe I can go to high school, special art high school is attached with Kava. So that even get more difficult to get in. And if you want to go there, you have to be passing the 3 days the streaming test. So for that, I prepare with the other children together, so we can like a group. We go to many different places, make sketch, even go to Beijing train station. So there have many people come to different state, different city. They looks like a different kind of people. So we daytime and nighttime around there to try to sketch. So and sometimes cause trouble for there's the policeman. They thought there's too many people around, too many people look. So they try to avoid us to go, but we still keep going to try to practice our skill. Then the end, I get in the high school. So in the year the whole country, we have 13 kids get in school, 10 boys and 3 girls. So the school is very small, but very close to Central Academy. We call this CAFA. If you walk maybe like 30 minutes, you can go to CAFA. So like connect together. And the high school is small, but kids come to different city. So even I live in Beijing, my family is Beijing, I have to live in a dorm too. So 1 week I might go back home one time, then can meet my parents a little bit and talk a little bit. Of course, it's give me a little bit of money, I go back to school. So that's the way we growing. But in the school, we learn a lot for 4 years. They have a lot strict rule, kind of like in the army. In the morning and the night, every single maybe hours, they made your schedule. So that's good for us and learned so much, but also, it's for young girl, you want a little bit more freedom. So like they're like a huge family because the kids, the students couple years together is only like 30, 40 students. So the teacher even maybe more than student. So we know each other and we, it's have to do something. It's like big family. But I have a very good memory about the school. They have a very interesting library. So in that time in China, we don't have a lot opportunity to look about the Western culture, art or novel in a typical place. But our library, you can borrow and many different, it's like teenage need the book and the art book, of course. So they opened my mind a lot in that time. But of course, we don't have a lot of opportunity to see the real work because it's now that time is now a lot yet. So after 4 years high school, and I applied in Central Academy. So that's kind of like it's very smooth get in because you're from the high school, then you very easy pass the test. So that time I really try to talk with my father. I think I might can learn something different, like fashion design or something is a little bit different. But my father thought, you were thinking about Chinese brush painting is best. In the future, you will enjoy it. But whatever, I just, believe it. So I just go to Chinese brush painting department and learn other 4 years in CAFA. But in CAFA, we have a very good memory for many things because that's 85 to 89. So in the 80s for China, I think it's most open time. So the door is opened, start opened. It's music, art, everything just can like come into China little by little. We just feel it's so exciting and try to see more and experience more. I remember Russian book, the exhibition in the biggest museum in Beijing is in China actually. It's very close to our school too. That's blew me away. That work is really I have never seen by my eyes. He used cardboard, make his contemporary art, and in the whole museum, I just found it's okay. So art have to do something different. It's so exciting for me. But for many reasons, I graduated in 1980s, and I don't want to be limited myself by many reasons. So I just decided maybe I should go out to look something different, learn something new. Then my family have some relative in Tokyo. My mom thought, okay, so how about I try to talk to your uncle, then you can go to Tokyo, maybe learn something different. So we got many paperwork and stamps. Of course, that time it's not that easy to go out. And I went to Tokyo. But when I go to Tokyo, the first thing I feel the big cultural shock. But also for language, I have no idea. I didn't prepare anything about language. I don't speak Japanese, so I have to go to Japanese school to learn maybe like half years, like a transition my language and get used to about the lifestyle. And I feel many way I learned in Tokyo. So they're not like I can imagine before I come here. So I found people is so kind. As they really they have a very good self control for many manner and behavior, and even they treat the traditional culture things is it's very interesting. So they have a traditional thing and a modern thing in the same time, and even you can see the building. So one side is very modern building, the other side is traditional jinja, but they don't feel lost balance. And the people in the Christmas, they celebrate Christmas. Then soon the New Year, they go to Jinja, is they kind of like a Buddhist. So then they go to celebrate all the Shindao. So it's everything kind of like they mix together. So that's part of Japan. They take every part they need, but they absorbed by themselves. But I remember first time when I go to Japanese, it's an art store, I get surprised. So they have a pigment, and basically they come from China. China is when you do Chinese brush painting, you use pigment too, but they only have 10 different colors. But in Japan, they have thousands colors. So this everything is just for me it's have to. I think it's for me it's like a sponge. I try to learn more and know something different. Well, back to China, I learned a lot about brush painting. Of course, the brush painting they have so much good thing, and also even now, I think it's now people still can come over that. It's really good because they training you skill, then like you how to use brush, how to use ink and the rice paper. So you learn how to your change in the moment and see they bring in a something change so quick. But also most important things, I think we learned a lot sketch outside. But the end, like my dad told me, you sketch it, you learn it, but the end they come to your own. When you do art, that's very subjective. It's not like you just do something like what you say. So that part is always for me is even now I think it's make a lot of sense. And it's not like people thinking about you learn Chinese brush painting is about the technique and the skill. But that come back to Japan is same thing. So the material is really heavy and strong texture. It's very interesting. But the end I found it's not only about that. It's about you how to you appreciate about beauty. So in Japan, I think I went to two different kind of school. First, I went to Tama Art School. So that's the best private art school. So I choose Japanese painting, of course, because I think it's very different. And that's that 2 years, I learned many things about different department. Like Monoha is most influenced my art. I learned, they put in the Oriental philosophy in your art. They start in the 70s. It's probably same time in the European is minimal art, but they use the concept totally different. So they appreciate about object with space, with time, and very minimal, but at the same time, so they have a internal logic. It's Oriental philosophy, and also it's they call this wabi sabi. It's part of the Japanese culture, so it's volume the quietness and the simplified shape, and the things is not like, you can see the things is not like very bright. They can like take a time, have a history, have a story behind everything, even the things is unperfect. So that everything, the culture things involved in life, everything, even the food and the dish and the decoration. So you don't need to see something, but you can feel it. It's very different. And but I stay in Japan after Tama Art School. I just try to go to my master course. So I applied Tama Art School and Tokyo Art University. But I got both got in. I had to choose one. But Tokyo Art University is a public art school, is the best one, and of course cheaper. So I choose to go to Tokyo Art University. So the professor, I think, is I'm really thanks for my professor. He's famous, but it's Kado Sumio, but he was died a couple years ago too. But he's really open mind. He told me, you don't need follow me. You don't need to follow my style. So you even don't need to have to every day come to the classroom. And I give you space to discover by yourself what you need, what you more interesting. But you just need to finish some artwork. Let me see. So I feel so exciting. I tried the most I can. I went to museum and the gallery and look so many different things. You can imagine it's from that time I come to outside. That time is China is now like it's now. Now you can see so many, it's many countries artists work in Beijing or Shanghai, but that time is very little. When I go to Tokyo, that's kind of like a big international city. So they have so much information there. Then I start to learn, kind of like learn by myself, but also continue learn Japanese paintings and the technique. They have a very certain, very interesting, they care about the quality, they care about the process. But I think it's everything I learned, but come to my thing, but I don't want to follow them. For a long time, I just thinking, do something different. It's making me exciting. So that's in Japan. But in the same time, when I'm a student, I have to take part-time work, like you support yourself in the tuition. So I don't want to, realize parents send money from Beijing, from Tokyo. I go to a couple different places. First, because that time my language is not that good, I went to the bookstore. The bookstore is very interesting. They kind of like they have a lot of Chinese book. So you try to a little bit translate and organize stuff in there and talk with them about it. Same time I can look at a lot of old book. It's very, very interesting to me too. Then I went to a coffee store, like a waitress for like 1 year. So like young people, you have to work in something, but it's let me learn a lot too. It's about how Japanese, they treat about every single work. You're so serious to do, doesn't matter what. So yeah, it's a personal experience for me. Even it's kind of like it's a living skill to learn, to know about how they put in the attitude towards to work. They never to really to forget every detail single, the detail thing. So that's if I don't work there, I could not imagine. Then after that, I started teaching Chinese brush painting in Japan, because so many people want to learn about Chinese brush painting. Even they have a brush painting too, but kind of like a different style. So some even is adults, so they have group people let me teach. Then I made a lot of friends, Japanese friends. They so can, they know as I'm Chinese. So in the same time, they use their subtle way teach my English, Japanese too. So I got a lot of benefit too. But after I graduate, almost like a graduate from, it's Tokyo Art University, I married. Then after married, couple years, I have the child. But that's I start thinking about because in Japan culture, in Japanese culture, when the woman you get married, it doesn't matter how you think about your career. Most people they quit their job, they stay home like housewife, raising kids, cook. But that's not really I want to do. But in that kind of environmental, you get used to because everybody does same thing. So you don't feel anything big wrong. But even in my mind, I don't want to keep life like housewife. You forget what you really your passion is. But I did many years to stay home and raising kids, and until my daughter grew up until 5 or 6 years old. My ex-husband, he was living before he living in America. He's resident in America, but he working in Tokyo. That's why we met. He was still working in a company in Japan. So, but sometimes we have to come back to US because the green card. So you have to go back for like every year 1 or 2 times. But until my daughter will go to school, we had to make a decision, and we could not go back for forever. Once she go to in school, it's now convenient. Then we went to California. So first time we come to, it's California, maybe it's San Francisco and LA. And I saw people in the beach. That kind of lifestyle is really relaxed. It's very different with in Japan. In Japan, you're working hard, and the time is everything. So people is self-control is very well. Then they talk is very quiet, but they very fancy. And the woman and the man they use different language. But be a woman, when you go out, you have to dress up, make up, very nice smile. It's just like like a social person. You have to be very kind of like put a mask on your face. So when I come to California, I saw my daughter. She's so happy in the beach. She talking louder than she when she was in Tokyo. Then I asked her, "Do you like here or like in Tokyo?" She told me, "I like here." But for myself, I think it's be artist. You need more freedom and space. Be yourself and be truly like you can find your own voice. So I just decided to take my daughter come to California because my ex-husband he had to work in Tokyo, so I just bring my daughter. We made decision is bring my daughter come to first year come to LA. Then we live in LA. They have to driving everywhere because LA is so big. It's not like San Francisco. You have a car train, you have a bus, and the lifestyle is very different with Tokyo. Tokyo, you have a subway, you can go everywhere. So I have to deal with my language again because I come to US, I have to speak English. So we learned English a little bit in China and Japan, but we don't really talk about it's a little bit grammar, it's not really help that much. So I have to learn English because my daughter had to go to school. You had to conversation with teacher. So it's a pretty hard time for me because that time I'm not young. So when you're young, you learn language, it's much easier. And it's pushed me to learn and growing.
Well, that's fascinating to hear your journey. It's like you kind of have lived so many lives in different spaces. And I'm also wondering, all these diasporic experiences, how has they influenced your art? So since your father was a painter and the traditional guohua or classical
Mhm.
Chinese painting, that practice, um, it's kind of common for the literati culture to be in 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 the practice as well, to kind of follow the old masters, and then for you to kind of break out of that tradition, having gone to Japan, and then going to find that it's also limiting in terms of your um, like your feminine identity, and then you kind of moved on to a more kind of like liberal space. Like how this like transition from one place to another influence your artistic creativity?
Yes. I think when you learn something, you will always keep it. You're not going to forget. So, like Chinese brush painting, and I learned many things about how you control the whole balance and how to use the water and the ink, even how the flooring make you change. And sometimes it's the it's like uh, not it's now you can design, so they have a lot of accident happen. How you use it make the change and work for you, and the water flowing, ink flowing, so in the one moment they change so fast. How can you control it? And even the white space for Chinese, like brush painting, they have a very important for the space. So the space energy for space, the space field. So it's nothing empty. They have something. The balance and how you try to use that kind of things work for your whole piece. That is how you found your own subjective angle to express your things. It's not like it's Chinese uh, brush painting. It's not like you have to do sketch, like do something you look at, like realistic. It's more like abstract for me. But also you go through many training, like you make the lines more strong, and even like how to make a flower, how to make landscape, and how even calligraphy, everything. So they combine together, make it build up your um, like how to you even how a placement about the elegant. So that's you learned. It's many different levels. It's not like a surface. It's like the two, like rice paper. Even rice paper, they have so many different kind of rice paper. You have to get used to. And when I went to Japan, so the Japanese painting is very interesting. They have a strong texture and a lot of color choices. And they make paintings. The process is it's layers. It's opposite with Chinese painting, the ink painting actually. So they're heavier. But the end, I just found that many things I learned, they come to like my two. So the important things is what I try to talk, what I try to express. Maybe because the age when I come to US and the life experience is building more and more, I just thinking every kind I learned technique, I should be working something for myself for unique language. But I try to find what I want to see. So they take, actually it's not easy. They take a long time. And finally, I found in maybe around 10 or 15 years ago, I found it's nothing else. It's yourself. It's everything about what you care, what you try to see, what you try to express about your own perspective. So for me, it's kind of like my identity because I go through Japan and the US. So I always like new people in a new environmental, and then identity and the gender, especially in Japan, I strongly feel the gender is so different. It's not equal, but people get used to. Um, that's from my mind. I always have a question about that. So, but when I come to America, it doesn't mean America is the gender equal. It's of course they have still have a lot of issues for here, but I feel a little bit, freedom to talk about. I don't feel shy to talk about. I feel truly in my mind thinking about the things. So I start to focus myself. Now, when I thinking about myself, the end I found is your body is most reliable sensor. So they have the body, everybody's body, they have a unspoken wisdom, so they can get many information from outside and the inside too. When you have things you have, thinking about emotional, and even your, how to your dialogue with outside, your body always try to find the balance. So I started focus about the body. That is really take time, and the process is little by little. So you could not rush, you could not to push yourself to go something you really don't feel. Maybe I think it's even now I work the work pieces work even put in 10 years ago, probably different, 20 years ago, of course. So people change by experience, by your understanding, by your life, by your age. Then you see these things and thinking everything is differently. So they always come to your art.
So yeah, that's so fascinating. That you kind of went along the practices of your father as well. Like, can you talk a little bit about more about your relationship with your father?
Yeah, my father, his personality is very down to earth. He's a very quiet person and very humble, but he working hard. He really, in my memory, he's just keep working and working, but he doesn't talk a lot. And I am very inspired from my father, but he does things deep and layer. So even Chinese brush painting, I saw his work always one day, the other day, even after 1 year, he still can see some work add more. So by layer, his work feel the rich depths, and it never give up. He, if he want to do something, he's very quiet person, but if he want to do something, he never give up. So I think it's my personality in many ways. It's pretty much like my father. So I just, I don't really social. I don't really talk to people that much, but I'm very enjoy what I want to do. So I with my father have a very good relationship, but until it's teenage, we sometimes have a little bit fighting by personal things. But of course, it's like every kid does. And my mom is always, yeah, I think it's that my role model is about be strong woman.
Yeah, it's fascinating that your work delves into the discourse about the feminine identity and the body as well, which is something that the traditional classical ink paintings doesn't deal with, as it's like really flat, and body is like rarely present in the classical Chinese paintings, especially in kind of three-dimensional forms. um,
Yes.
like do you, how do you kind of started that kind of idea in terms of dealing with the body, like probably who, oh, is there an artist that kind of influenced you? Was it more like in Japan or from like a European tradition?
So first, when I started to do body, actually that's just feel because I feel I need, and also I need more dimension because I feel the language is not enough for me to express myself. Then from the canvas come out like a relief a little bit. Then little by little I get more depth. Then later get like installation. But for influenced by inspired by artists, of course I have a lost artist, but the end I found a lost is woman artist. So in my mind, is first one come out is Louis Braille, is a French, is woman artist. Her work is just, I feel is the energy and the power inside is just so strong. She have a she is very practical about art until she before she died, is maybe died in the 96. And her work, I think is she talk about herself, personal story a lot, and her childhood, her family, her father, her mother, and made she thinking about the human relationship. So how important, and even her spider is more like it's expressed like her mother protect the kids, and she have so many forms, and every time I see her work, I can always discover something new. I love her work, and of course, so in a certain theme, kind of like we can cross, I can feel they touch me because it's be a woman and lots of body things in our artwork too. But it's very amazing things. My daughter, when she's 12 years old, I think that time I don't think she's really understand about art, and I didn't really talk to her that much. Just one time because I have a big exhibition in San Francisco, so they made a video about the whole process I work is continue like 2 months. Then one time they come to house is talk with my daughter. Without me there, they ask my daughter. My daughter thought, I know my mom likes something, and then so they talk about what she thought it very makes sense. The next day is my birthday. So she thought, Mom, I get you one book. So I said, what? She went to, one time I take her go to book. She didn't tell me she have a little money. She bought Louis Brass book. I was surprised. I said, why you know I like her book? She thought, I don't know. It's very interesting.
That's so sweet of her. Wow.
Yeah, that surprised me about, I think it's kids, they have a sense, even they have sense about, we know, even we don't really realize they watching something, and you talk to her, but she watching.
And I'm also curious, have you been like kind of more inspired by like Western artists as well at any point, or have you studied any kind of European kind of art history that came into be inspiring for your work?
I think it's a European art have lots like minimal art. They have lots of artists. So because the abstract work, they very speak to me. So very minimal, and also they can like take off everything they don't need. They make the express very directly and clear. So that's just like in Japan, Monoha is influenced me by many different ways. I have lots of artists I like, but like Eva Hazel is woman artist too, but she was died is very early, by 38, only 38 she died, but her art is really is so unique, and she made the form is even now I think is many artists cannot cannot reach that high like her did.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And I'm also curious, since your parents were born probably in the 30s or 40s, they might
Yes.
encounter the Cultural Revolution back in China, as
Yeah.
they're both kind of intellectuals. Were there a kind of did it mention anything during their memories during the Cultural Revolution?
Yes. I remember my dad went to farmer. So because it's not only her, it's a lot of musician and artist and writer. So they put some special reason, because his work is a landscape. He used paint, ink. Then most have no color. So they question why you don't have color for the beautiful landscape in China. Everything is black white. So that's the reason. So they put in a farmer to working for 10 years. But there have lots of artists together there. So later I asked him about how he feel about that time. He told he doesn't feel lonely because around him and the same artist, even his co-worker and the same professor before, at the same time, it come to same place. They try to make a lot of fun there. Then try to change lifestyle, but in 10 years, they could not touch brush, they could not paint. So I remember I was very young, and my father every year have 1 time or 2 time come back home to see us, or with my mom, with my brother. That time I have no sister, so went to see him. So one time I see my father. I was so young. I called his uncle because I don't realize I don't remember him. Too young, so I don't know my father how he feel. But yeah, I think that kind of story is really sad, but it's for many families.
I trust you grew very close to him after he came back, right?
Yes, then after he come back, I grow a little bit understand, and it's still somehow I feel very quiet because I don't want to in a classroom. You don't want to like kids know your father went to farm because he does some painting wrong, or I just very quiet. But most time I stay home, and my father have a lost art book in the home, and we can look in the book and copy it as part of his I be training the two.
That's fascinating. And how about your mother? Was she? You mentioned that she also taught in schools, right? And
Yeah, she
so,
taught in school, but she basically she just for it's for family, for everything. And she's smart to raising kids. So sometimes when kids doesn't want to do something, she have a different way to talk to you and make a big picture. Like you look at, then you can see, oh, that's good for you. Then you continue do. It's like a educator, it's this way is better than father. It's my father is always, oh, you should do this. You should. He doesn't really know how to let kids understand, but my mom is. So always, but she always try to do more work behind us than make our get easier to go through many like a test or something. Is you have to learn more. She always taught me read something then do something. She hard to see. I have nothing to do. Sit down there, and she will be feel. What do you do anything? So they have a big dream for kids, and like a typical Chinese family. So I don't feel a lot of pressure because I get used to. I think for my mind, I just want to do better. But once well, I get very angry because I don't have playtime at all. So like you go to school, like class, because one class and other class and have a 10 minutes playtime rest. I have to hold my sketchbook to drawing my classmate who is play, because my father every day he have to check my sketch like a 10 piece or 5 piece, whatever. You have to do good. I had to save the playtime to do that because I have a homework to do too. So add a lot extra work to me. So once well, I'm pretty angry. But once my mom told me, it's when you want to go to that kind of school, you have to be treated like this way. So I accepted. Yeah.
that's great. And also, you were talking about 四合院, and that,
Yeah.
and probably more known in the West as hutong.
Hutong, yes.
Yeah, and would you mind, as it's just for the benefit of the nostalgic of the many audiences, would it be possible if you could kind of take us on a journey of your, for example, a trip in Hutong, like
Yes, I remember the Hutong have many people live in the Siheyuan. So in the Hutong, so they have one bathroom, the bathroom for many family. So in the morning, you have to line there to go to bathroom, because in the house you can use, it's a very simple place, but it's not like a bathroom. So that is for now. I talk with my daughter about that. She think it's incredible. She could not remember. She could not think about how do you live with that kind of style. Yeah, that's that's in the Hutong. So but also the neighbor is very close. So we talk to each other, and every family is kids, no kids. So when we go to school, we have to maybe, because we don't have car, even parents have no time to with you, so you have to find some close neighbor with you, go to same school, you go together. But for me, it's a very fun time, and spend time with kids in the Hutong. And for now, I think it's very humane. It's really people with people nice, but of course they sometimes have argued too. But different with now, you don't know your neighbors who living here. You never talk to each other. It's different lifestyle. Yeah, and also I remember, so we have the street lights nighttime. Then so many people is play around there. It's like kids, they enjoy it. So even that time we don't have enough stuff we like parents need or kids need, but we feel happy. It's very funny.
Yeah, I guess that's just the gentrification and the progression of the city that leaves many of our memories in the past. Um, and can you also share with us some of the childhood games that you played in the past?
We play ping pong a lot because that's easier for us. We don't really have a ping pong table. We sometimes make it simple, like a ping pong, draw some line on the ground, then you can play. And for girl, we play a lot. I don't know how to say that. It's like bouncing street, then you jump up, down. It's a lot, but for me, I think most time when I have a clear memory, I have to hold the sketchbook. And also we do cut paper. So the cut paper for us is very fun. It's simple. You just have one piece of paper, then you training something, then you cut, then you put it in between your book, then keep it. Sometimes we exchange each other. So that's our fun and treasure. And that time we don't have a lot clothes like now. You are fashionable clothes, so everyone wears similar. And like a girl, you have a little bit of color, but you don't want to too different with other people. Even they don't sell a lot of very colorful stuff, but we found the simple way, use the top part, make a little bit fixing, just a little bit color to show it. It's a very subtle way to show the beauty. And my big memory for collecting the candy paper. The candy, they have a paper wrapped it. The paper sometimes have a design, have a little bit of color. For us, it's beautiful. I collect a lot of the paper, put in my book. Then I don't, because I moved so many times. So many things now I think I should keep it, but I don't have anymore.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And it's probably very hard for kids
Try to imagine, right?
imagine. Yeah, that's true. And your name in Chinese is Zhang Shuang. Can you tell us a little bit of the kind of the meaning or the metaphor behind your name? And
actually, I asked my mom one time, I said, why you choose Shuang? So she told me, because I born the year is 1965. And 1965, everyone is just Cultural Revolution start. And somehow she tried to found from Pong, but she doesn't want too much something like red or flower, or she wanted different. And the Shuang for that time is not a lot of people use. But she doesn't know it's for girl or boy, but she just thinking that's cool, and just make the name for me. But now I found a lot of people use Shuang. Yeah, she just want to, I'm a little bit different. for that time because my name is only one word except my last name. So it's very easy to make similar name with other, maybe in the classroom, they have two names the same. So that would be trouble. So my mom said, okay, I try to find something different, but that's she tried.
That's great. Thank you. Um, and next, I'm also curious, since you were born in 1965,
Yeah.
and that's like a year before the Cultural Revolution, did you remember, like, I guess you were very young back then, and it ended when you were 11 years old. Like, can you tell us a little bit of how it impacted your kind of your school, your earlier life experiences?
Yeah, I remember it when I in the elementary school. So Wansville is really kind of chaos. It's teachers cannot teach, and students is go outside to, do something board art, to talk something, write something. They can like a teacher like you do that, or they feel it's more uh, revolution. And we don't, because so young, we don't feel anything is really big wrong, but feel, oh, we don't really go to class, but it's very short time. So for my age, but we don't be involved too much. And in a teen age, oh yeah, it's one thing. In a 1976, I think is in a big earthquake in Tangshan. But that earthquake is really big. Even in Beijing, everybody can feel, the earthquake. Then we have to leave house in Beijing. We go to the park, which is I make sketch a lot there. So a lot of family go there and make a tent. So we living there whole months. Of course, we don't go to school, and the parents try to make kids feel a little bit comfortable living there. Then even sometimes they need to go back home to take something back. They just rush to go back home, then come back. That kind of, yeah, that's is my teenage. Is many things happened, but we learned about the cultural revolution. Is you cannot talk too much in the outside. If you talk too much, then you'll get in trouble. Family will get in trouble. So sometimes, my parents talk something, they probably don't like kids to listen.
Yeah, that's a very bizarre experience, I'm sure. Um,
Yeah.
and also, so when you were 25, you also experienced another very traumatic historical event, the June 4th Tiananmen Square massacre. Uh,
Yes.
can you share with us some of those memories?
Yeah, that year is my graduate year in Kava. So that year, almost everybody, every kids is go to Tiananmen Square because our school is very close. If you walk from school to Tiananmen, only like 25 minutes. So we went there because we know something happened and we wish something changed. So the young people, they have so much passion for being involved in a big moment. And everything happen is just like you cannot expect. So that's big sudden change in the night. But it's our school cross street is a 协和医院, so the biggest hospital there. Then that night I was in dorm, but I tried to sleep, but I start heard about the gun. Every noise is everybody start to yell. So we just feel panicked, don't know what's exactly happened. Then we come to the outside, then I heard the many, like embassy car or something, people yelled quiet, come to the hospital. So we try to go to hospital from door to see what we can do, can help. But first time I see the blood is that much, I get so scared and I just start crying. But, but that year for our grade, we don't have exhibition. So for Kava, every year, the end of the year, when you graduate, you have big exhibition for your grader graduate. but we don't. We just, then after that, the school just told everybody go home. So we just go home. Then that's the big reason I go to Japan too, because I don't know what I can do. In the China, everything changed in one suddenly is everything, like you don't, uncertainty, you don't know what's going on. So I just think maybe I go outside different country to look at and learn something different.
Were your parents supportive of your decision?
Yeah, yeah. My parents is support me to. She taught my mom, especially my mom taught, you should go out to learn something new and open your eyes. It looks something different. And my father, of course, he always thinking I'm continue to do Chinese brush painting, but for me, I have already can see if I continue in China. Uh, Once you graduate from CAFA, you almost can see your later life. Either you're teaching the school or you do artwork like repeat like my father's generation doing. It's not really I want. There's many reasons put together. I just think, okay, I just go out.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And also, you mentioned that you kind of, as you move to Japan and then to the US, you kind of starts to break out of these different boundaries of either it's in the gender stereotypes um, or the kind of the traditions of ink medium. Like, can you tell us a little bit about how like you experiment different mediums, different genre, different motifs?
Yes. When I come to US, so first of all, I don't have the source like Japanese pigment that much because their store, they have a couple thousand different colors. So here, when I go to art store, I see it's oil, acrylic, whatever. But finally, I found it's not important because what I can use around me. So I went to beach. I found the sand. So the beach sand is so organic. The color is beautiful, and also I feel warm and it's close to me. So then I try to use sand with glue to on my canvas. From there, I just feel, oh, something simple, plant. You don't need fancy at all. Then you can talk about more directly. Then soon I found the fabric because once I think I really think it's very interesting about make a fashion design. I like use fabric and scissor. Even in Kava time, I try to make own clothes myself because we don't have choices by so many different kind of design. So we don't have use the sewing machine. I just use needle. So from distance, you cannot see it's very rough, but I made a new thing and a new style. I always have it's big interest about fabric. So when I come to US, when I do something about close to me, I think it's fabric is close to me. So just like my second skin, it's a special something like your underwear fabric is very bouncy, it's flexible. Then you can make shape, you can make layer, and it's really talk to me. So I start to use fabric. It's many different kind of fabric, but again, I don't want to use anything like too much fancy stuff. It's most plain stuff is for me is most interesting. So a lot of things is my clothes or my daughter's clothes or something around the house. Then from there, I try find many different kind of like a recycle stuff. So they really talk to me because they have a history, they have a story. I used it. I noticed behind that what the time what happened to me or to other. It's like I can thinking about relate to other people. But fabric, I like the flexiness and the softness. So in my canvas, even I like use a knife to cut off first. Then I can feel the energy from cutting place has come to me. So in the whole process when I'm working, I feel like a dialogue, me and the work. So the work and me, I don't know is which one go first, then second. They always keep changing. I never do like something design that much. Then I start work. I just let it go. When I feel something I want to do, I just start. But in the process, they growing to the changing and the accident always make you new idea and explore more. They it's very exciting. It's not from the past. It's not like I have already know the end how it looks like. I make it. That for me is kind of like boring. I don't want to do that kind of work. So I just keep trying, and every time I like fresh and like facing a new face and talk to me. I talk to the work.
That's fascinating. And also, I'm curious, since your main career as an artist is in the U.S. and more specifically on the West Coast, if I was correct in saying that. And do you see yourself associated with kind of the like? Do you identify with the quote unquote Asian American artists?
Yes, I think it's Asian America. That's kind of like your blood because I am Asian, but to be an artist, I never try to really label myself like what kind is depend on my gender or my color or my background, my culture. But whatever people see my work, they can feel that's who I am. And also I think I have lost that dimension. It's just like everybody is. They have so many different way to thinking and to look at the person and be artist. You go through your own story life journal, then you have many side to look about you and thinking about your art. So, be a woman artist and be a feminism artist for me is definitely yes because I care about that. So my work is focused about identity, gender, and even social justice, human rights. That's I care about. But there is now only thing limit you. So like this years, many things happen. You kind of like looking about back about a human being. So that is first you have to allow you to get wider vision, wider express possibility.
Yeah, that's totally true. Um, and I totally understand a lot of the artists are also very much engaged in the kind of art for social advocacy. And I was reading that you are also in an exhibition that you were working on in 2019 for the June 4th massacre, which I think kind of grabbed a lot of media attention as it was um, the 40-year, actually 30 years anniversary for the June 4th massacre. Can you talk a little bit about that, the
Yes,
motivation?
yes. So that work, that's main part is about I have a two clothes is in my canvas. So that clothes is one 1918 I made by myself. I wore that clothes in the square for lots times. So even I moved to Japan, moved to US, I never threw out. It's always in the bottom of my suitcase because that's I made and I have lost memory for me. And it's very important for me. But that year in the work, I take off my clothes, then I redo it on the canvas, but also I use tape, the black tape, like installation and tape on the wall, because they still, they don't allow you talk about this June 1st. So, but my work is my like a true personal memory about there. It's always there. So that's the work come from. And you know, and also I have a lot of photo there. But the photo is I asked because I didn't take a lot of photo that time, but some of my friends have photo. I asked them can offer photo to me, but they are really scared. They don't want the photo cause anything trouble. So I thought, okay, so I will seal the photo in the bag. Nobody can see it, but it's exists there. So the photo is there too. And my personal photo for that year and my school name is there because I go through there. I go through the process. So in the exhibition, but after couple days, it's not after couple, before a couple days, I received is a kind of like a WeChat is a scary letter to me. So it's just me is they know what I'm doing, then let me careful. So that's it's part of I don't know come from who and where and one person or group people I don't know. So I feel very scared. I don't know what will happen, but the end I just in the organization is very nice. They told oh you can cancel this exhibition or if you really feel afraid, but that's your choice. But the end I just okay I just keep going. Then that's the piece work there.
Did you have any like further kind of warning or interaction from anyone?
I know no didn't, but I think it's for that time. So they just warning you, and because before the day, so they are nervous. They don't want to anything happen, so they're warning you.
Wow, that was yeah, very very interesting. um, and also I'm curious, like as like the in the year and past year, we had a lot of engagements from the artist side in the racial justice. As last year, as we all know, that we had the kind of over um, yeah, overturning news about the death of George Floyd and the amount of anti-Asian hate crimes, and it's still ongoing and rising because of caused by the coronavirus. So I'm also curious, as an artist, what do you see the artist's role in kind of social justice advocacy, and if artists can use their art to kind of perpetrate more voice in this in the situations like this?
Yeah, these 2 years actually make me rethinking about US. It's before we always thinking about US is a it's multicultural and freedom and people is equal and the volume for everybody. But go through these 2 years, it's more and more clear. I can see the true American program. They really have a lot of people racist, and it's when people not accept different. They divide people by black, white, or Asian, whatever you're Chinese, Japanese, Korean. So they start to fighting, then start violence. Then people now be treated like really everyone equal. So that's for very clear. And even American system for many ways, even COVID-19, you see the people die and the most case in the poor area and black and Latinos because the system not go there. So if not go through this, we probably not see that much, but for these 2 years, I think it's America have a lot of programs to prove. And like, like Black Lives Matter, or even this time is Stop Asian Hate. I think absolutely everyone, it doesn't matter your artist or not, everyone should stand up. Everyone should speak out. But especially for artists, your functional is you have to talk something truly you care, and from your your perspective to, found the original language to make work, to influence people, and if you can. But I think it's a, people can, can by their own experience to look about art and look about everything they can see, look and change. So that's very, very important for the artist in the role.
Yeah, I'm very, very fascinated to see a lot of artists actually are giving more voices in this very important topic right now. Um, so, do you identify as American? With
I think it's American Chinese because I'm immigrant here. So even my passport is American, but my first identity is Chinese. So they come here. For me, I think even wherever you go through many, culture, you learned, you shaped by yourself, you shaped self by different cultures, but that's who you are. So I think yes, yeah, I should be proud for who I am. I should do something for some people just like me, it's speak out for them too.
And I'm also curious with your daughter who spent most of their childhood since they were young. You mentioned she was born in Japan, right? And then she moved here
Yes.
when she was young. Like,
Yeah.
how does she identify? Like, in case you have discussed this with her, and if how do you also see the difference and in terms of cultural roots and cultural influence in relation to your the country of origin in China?
She was very confused because she was born in Japan, but I come from, even her father is Taiwanese, so we speak Chinese. Then she have a Taiwanese passport. When she was born, she was in Japan. Then later, mom is come from China mainland. Then later she come to America. She asks mom, where I belong to, who I am. I said, you are basically you're Chinese, American Chinese. She said, oh, so should I, she speak a little bit Japanese because she forgot. When she was young, she's, it's just like a Japanese kids, but too young to come to here. But she still can speak a little bit and can listen. Chinese, she can conversation with me and with my mom on the phone, but she could not write. Then she most like uh, American kids now. So she just graduated from NYU last year, and in the pandemic time, she didn't know she should go back to New York or not. She just come back home. Then the graduate on the TV, graduation ceremony in the TV, she found she never go back to New York. Even her apartment still have her stuff. First, I thought maybe you just give up the stuff. It's everything. She said, no, I have many things I need. I don't want to throw out. So I found the movie company, moved everything back to California. Now she found a job in San Francisco. Then she work in the home because, Cohen, you cannot go back to company by person. So she work in the home. But I think she's very proud be many different cultures. She thinks she is very unique.
That's wonderful. And moving on to a little bit on the commercial art side, since I was researching that you also have the gallery representation. Can you tell us a little bit about the artist career side in terms of their gallery representation, and what's your relationship like with the commercial art world?
I really appreciate about the galleries is one is in Hong Kong, Gallery Du Man. now is I just have one exhibition in Korea Gallery in Palo Alto. So they respect my work. It's not like commercial art. They like what I'm doing, and my work, the quality they think is conceptual art. So it's not difficult time to working with them. But I when I'm working, I never thinking about the marketing, how it's going on, or the exhibition accept you, or people like your work or not. I think it's art. You have to be truly first present you. It's like who you are. So it's you have to like your work first. Then maybe someone is a similar perspective like it, or even gallery they appreciate, so to do it. I don't think that this very contradiction situation for me, but I know a lot of artists they are really struggling by that, because you if you want to do real art, then the art in the gallery they cannot present you, or whatever. So it really depends on how your relationship with the galleries. And I think I'm lucky. Yeah, we have a similar ways to thinking about.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Um, and speaking of the art scene, since your majority of your career are spent in the U.S., what do you think it might be the most misunderstood aspect of Asian American artists in the U.S.?
um I think for me, I think I just want to be a human being, like artist. So it doesn't matter what kind artist they call you, but I just thinking, it's you have to focus what you focus to. So if I have an exhibition opportunity in anywhere, I think that's fine. But I will use both of my name, it's Chinese name and English name, and yeah, it's pretty natural for me. I don't mind. So they label me about the Chinese or American, or woman artist or whatever. So it just fine.
Yeah, and I also want to say thank you for allowing people to read your work and giving them the freedom to interpret it in their own ways.
Of course, I'm thank you for opportunity for like people to know my work. But for myself, I just thinking just keep working.
Yeah, and I'm also curious since we are in your studio now, kind of virtually, what are
Oh,
you working on next?
um, I have a last idea in my mind. So like this time in the pandemic for me is I stay studio a lot. So the backside for everybody is and the uncertainty, the nervous panic for the whole global is sadness. See, so many people died. But for artists, for myself, I think I got benefit because I have lots of time and stay home, stay gallery working. But of I lost my work in this year. Uh, kind of like my diary is every day I try to recording my emotional and my feeling is, of course, from beginning time I feel so scared. Is every day I just watching the TV and the cell phone about news. And 1 month I just get lost. I don't know what's exactly happening. Then I didn't do work in the first month because it's panic. So after 1 month, my whole energy is come to my work. So I continue every day. Maybe in 1 year, I work in maybe over like 200 pieces. Doesn't matter how big or small, that recording that moment, what I feel, even the tragic feeling is for recording. That's the only thing I can do. It's kind of like it's for me like a healing myself too. Because if I don't do work, um, I don't know what's is deal with this is, but for now, I think about even every month, my work keep changing because every month the news change, my mood change. Um, that's very important. In a certain moment, you have the right way to do something. Otherwise, after a couple of days, they're different. You're feeling different. So I have a lot of work for this year, but the problem is my space. Even that my studio is when I have studio, I feel it's so big. I was very happy, but little by little, the work is more and more. I think it's space get cloud. But you can see a little bit about what's good. Yeah, a lot work I put on the wall, but I also have upstairs. I have other studio, and also have to rent 2 storage. Put my works there. Artists need space. Yeah, that's very important. If once you're working in a small space, your work must be limited. So, but if you want to unlimited work, that's the reality. Is impossible, especially in like California, like San Francisco.
Yeah, thank you for taking us on this little trip on your studio too.
Well, thank you too.
And I'm also curious with your work, you kind of have a number of series or number of bodies, and they're like, I don't know, chapters in your artistic books. Can you talk a little bit about the different series? Like you had the
Yeah,
viewpoint.
yeah. This is my habit when I do work. I like to do series because I know it's one piece work. You probably cannot to feel enough for you to express your this period of time. So, but I don't limit myself. Is once I get good for something or good for a certain form or style or material, so I will stop. I will stop for thinking about. So, kind of like self denial. But self denial is for me is very very important because they allow you to keep change, keep move. So that's the biggest freedom for you. So you're not afraid. You're not get stuck in something. So every work I will, every kind of work I'm working for, it's it's different. Some is 1 month, some is maybe a couple months, some maybe 1 year. But I must be stopped when I get too used to. So that's my personal goal. And I like challenge myself. So that's it's exciting and keep my mind fresh and to rethinking and growing. That's important for artists. It's hard to think, imagine if I stay in one style, so forever to do it, and probably it's not me.
If an art historian or art critic discovers your not discover but more like rediscover your work after like 200 years, what do you want them to see your work as? Like what kind of statement or your manifesto would you like to leave it for them?
I don't know. It's 200 years. What will be happen? It's that world changes so quick. It's everything. I think it's maybe it's an art. There will be exists different way. Maybe it's AI can make something, but I hope they can see the recording about this wave of time. Be an individual person, individual artist, what they do, and what influence in a it's everything influence in the artwork. So just kind of like a notes, like my art notes to present what happened for me for this time.
Well, that has been a wonderful 90 minutes we just met right there. Um, but I'm just wondering if there's anything else that I should have covered. And please,
I think it's pretty good. You have very good questions, and but only thing I think is be artist. You have to be very active and follow your passion. And for myself, I try to, especially maybe age, I try to save every single time I do something I think is more volume, it's more important things like do art. But when I stay in a studio, it's not only doing. Sometimes I'm thinking, because around my work, just like every piece, like my recently work, like my meditation to look it and thinking it and feel it, and then to try to challenge next step.
And what would you say for your daughter and their children and so on, like in the future?
Yeah, I think it's important thing, whatever what kind of career you want to do, just follow your heart. Is follow your passion. If you like something, you want to do something, you must be do good. Then you can be deeply and found a defined meaning, and not give up. Now easy to say no. Yeah, just keep trying, working hard.